to Bosnia-Herzegovina in August of 1992 to replace Lord Carrington as mediator for the European community and with a reputation as a hard-line critic of the Bosnian Serbs. But Owen quickly learned that Muslim forces routinely staged incidents to turn world opinion against the Serbs. Media reports, for instance, had accused the Serbs of targeting Koševo Hospital in Sarajevo.
The UN monitors actually saw a mortar crew come into the hospital in Bosnian government military forces uniform and fire over the Kosovo hospital into an area, presumably Serb. The mortar was packed up very quickly. Television crew arrived, set up in the grounds of the hospital. A few minutes later, retaliatory fire from the place where the mortar came, and of course landed on or near the hospital, all filmed on television.
Owen learned a strongly worded letter had been sent to the government of Alija Izetbegović by the UN commander in Sarajevo, General Philippe Morillon, stating, quote, "I now have concrete evidence from witnesses of this disreputable and cowardly act. I must point out to you the harm that such blatant disregard for the Geneva Convention does to your cause." But there was, in fact, little damage to the Bosnian Muslim cause, because the UN did not make the letter public.
When I said to General Morillon, who's, I think, exceptionally able soldier in every way, "Well, why don't you make this public?" He shrugged his shoulders in a sort of Gallic way, and he said, "We have to live here."
Such caution was warranted. There were 3 attempts against the life of General Morillon, which he attributed to Muslim forces. In his book, The Fall of Yugoslavia, BBC reporter Misha Glenny observed that the majority of UN and relief workers who had died in the conflict were the victims of the Muslim units. The Bosnian government was quick to understand that most of the world viewed them as innocent victims. Throughout the war, they used this perception to undertake offensive actions and then portray themselves as victims. Lord Owen and UN mediator Cyrus Vance found that their efforts to negotiate a compromise to end the conflict were undermined by the propaganda war that targeted U.S. public opinion.
In America, they have a press and a television presentation that is still cowboys and Indians, good and bad. They like to see things in simple terms, there's no doubt about that. And it's been helped by some very strongly motivated propaganda. There's a propaganda war as well as an actual physical war.
And then there were some spectacular events which made good television and which were used effectively to totally discredit and demonize the Serbs.
Psychological operations and psychological warfare are the dynamic elements of a psychological strategy. For want of a better word, this is image manipulation, of which propaganda is a big part. You also have agitation propaganda, which involves the actual creation of incidents to get media attention.
In the Bosnian capital, Sarajevo, this morning, a moment of terror, just seconds after Serbian mortar shells landed there. The mortar landed within yards of the presidential building where the British Foreign Secretary, Douglas Hurd, was having talks.
But the mortar shells were not fired by the Serbs. French UN soldiers and a Canadian sergeant described the incident to Newsweek's military correspondent, Colonel David Hackworth.
The Minister of State for Great Britain was meeting with the president of Bosnia, and the minute the ceremony was over, they were rushed into a bunker, and it was mortared. And one sergeant said, "I was watching the Muslims dropping the mortar shells down the tube as they were falling on the president, who was safely in a bunker along with his honor guard." He said the whole thing was orchestrated.
An orchestrated incident could not have happened without the participation of Alija Izetbegović. Just 4 days before, on July 13th, a Canadian UN soldier reported a similar staged incident in which a mortar shell killed several children and maimed others.